Things can only get better, and that's the theme for this week's Late Night with Monica Price, as I catch up with Pete Cunnah and Al Mackenzie from the 90s hit pop rock band Ream. The pair were introduced at the legendary house and techno music club The Brain in Soho, London, and Ream was born. They have gone on to have a UK #1 hit with Things Can Only Get Better, as well as 8 more top 40 hits from 3 albums, 2 of which made the top 5. The new album, Open Hearts, Open Minds, is exactly what Ream fans have been waiting for since that very first smash hit. And I talked to them both about their success so far and their plans for the future. Come and join me this week on Late Night with Monica Price.
Things can only get better.
I'm delighted to be joined by the one and only Pete and Al from Ream. Guys, hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Very lovely to see you.
Thanks for
Sorry
having us.
it's not in the studios, but we just have to make do with this at the moment. But so great that you could join me. Guys, we've got so much to talk about. You've had an amazing career. Just talking to, some friends of mine, I'm saying I was going to interview you. They were like, oh, we're so excited. You've got such a great fan base, haven't you?
I think well, they're into us. Whereas are we in Marmite, Alan? Are we? I think I like that they're into us, and the thing they've stayed with us is great, and that's what's keeping us and them going. And as I was saying to Alan, when we were facing this original lockdown, we just thought we'd get on with it because we do what we do. We get sanity from it, and as you were saying, I think people turn to it for some reality, so a pick me up. That's what I suppose we've been associated with. So that's what hopefully giving our little bit of joy back to the world in a very crazy time.
Yeah, it is. But let's start at the beginning, guys. So, Al, I know that you were a DJ in London, and it was that where you met Pete for the first time?
We met in London, yes. My wife to be at the time, Peter was working with her, and she knew I was DJing. Pete was a musician. I had a nightclub, and got Pete down there and just sort of put us together, really. That's the condensed sort of version of it. We got together, we met, went to the studio. I got some Jammy Dodgers. Pete came around. I was Jammy Dodgers and started making some music.
Yeah,
the rest is history.
Well, I was struggling with I was trying to make dance records, and obviously anyone who tries to do that outside of the scene, it's gonna not feel right for some reason. I don't know why it didn't feel right, but when Alan came over, he brought something else to smoke, and that's why he finished a packet of Jammy Dodgers. But one of the first things he said to me was, like, make that kick drum bit, make that last for like 32 bars. And I said, no one's going to listen to that. Who would listen to that? He said, not for you, it's for other DJs so they can lock the beats together. So that was like an epiphany, because I already knew then that Alan had that club and dance floor knowledge. And so with my kind of musicianship and his sort of kudos in the clubs and knowing his beats and records, we kind of put those two things together. And then all I remember is, I don't know about you, Al, but every time we did something, people just went a bit nuts. And I was sort of used to doing stuff and people going, that's nice, Pete, well done. And so I knew there was something greater than the sum of its parts. And that's why we started Ream. But we weren't called Ream to start with. Alan, what were we going to call ourselves?
I was going to ask you about your name. How did you get to be Ream? Tell us about that.
I think there's differing views of this for people now, because I wrestled over the years. But I think we had gigs, didn't we? And we just suddenly thought, oh, we need to get a name. And it was a bit like that. And then we quite liked the music being quite dreamy. I've got a thing in my head about the Dream Academy, Life in a Northern Time being quite dreamy.
Possibly that, but we were being quite cheeky as well. We were going to name ourselves after that strip act, the Dream Boys. But then we said, why don't we just do Dream? And then you went, well, why don't we do Ream? Because that's like D-influence, D-light, K-class.
That worked.
That's how we get cut up. But the stupidest thing we did was we used a colon between the D and the R. That's an illegal character in HTML.
Oh!
Don't.
However, there are rumours that we used the colon for other reasons by certain people.
Yeah, well, whatever. That's
not true.
I love people.
We won't go into that today. But it's a great name. You're well known, probably because it's such an unusual name. People remembered you initially, but you've had some really big hits, guys. I mean, your first hit, You Are the Best Thing, that went to #1, didn't it, in the UK charts in 1992, or in the US charts, was it?
Oh, it's the remix. It was a dance remix. It's #1 in the Billboard charts. Yeah, that was.
That's right. And I mean, and then I think from there, then of course you brought out the thing, Things Can Only Get Better, the one that I think everybody associates you with. Just actually, do you mind that? Do you mind everybody sort of automatically or always mentioning that song?
I don't.
You have to live with it. I mean, it's like coronavirus. You have to live with it. You know, following us around, and there's no, you know, known cure. I came to Ireland, you know, and I've had a love-hate thing with it over the years, as I'll tell you, it follows you about. And people see me in the streets and they go, "Oh, you know what they say, Pete? Things going to get better." And I've started a swear box. So you know, get quite full over in England, regularly between 10 and 15 quid a week at least. I came to Ireland and I started putting out cryptic tweets, going €1. And then the next one I went €2. It says, "What are you tweeting about? €1, €2?" And it got up to €20 before I told everyone that that's how many Irish people had said to me, you know what they say, Pete? Pete's going to get better. I was down here in the south building up this euro collection in the swear box. You have to live with it. And the thing is, it's good for us because it gets us busy. It keeps us in people's consciousness. And that's a very difficult thing to do.
It is, Pete. It is.
It is. And at the same time, it means that Alan and I can exist within this sort of bubble and doing the thing that we do most, which is we love making records. We're getting infinitely better at it. And we're doing more of it ourselves with less engineers and less people involved in it. So it's getting, I don't know, it's getting better and better, I think.
Which is great.
Is that a song title?
Yeah. I didn't. Write that down. Quick, write it down. You heard it here first. But I mean, for you both, you know, has it been difficult being in lockdown? Have you actually got together at all during this, what seems to be another endless stream of lockdowns?
Alan, you can answer this.
Okay, I can. Well, we have, because we started the album prior to lockdown. We were all well on the way with it. And then, obviously, at the beginning of lockdown, we had to stay at home initially. And then when things were sort of loosened a little bit, it gave us a chance.
Yeah.
I'd had enough, personally. And Pete's in Ireland. I was stuck. I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I was getting going stir crazy. So I was like, no, I've got to come to Ireland. And I think we did about 10 days at a time, didn't we? So it came over about 3 times.
You tested, and then you came here and you did your quarantine period, and then we kind of worked it all out. So we stayed within the guidelines.
The guidelines, absolutely.
Yeah, but the reality was, you know, for us it was it kept our mind away from what was going on around us, and you know, it kept us going. It really kept us going. I think we worked our way through the album, and it really helped us. It really helped us get through.
So the title of the new album is Open Hands. Oh, sorry, Open Hearts.
Open Hearts, Open Minds.
That's right. So, and the new single, which is going to be out on the 23rd of July. How did that come about?
18th of June. 18th of June.
Oh, 18th of June.
23rd of July for the album.
Fantastic. Right, let's get that right. So 18th of June for the single and 23rd of July for the album. Fantastic. So the single Many Hands. So it was that obviously that's a single off of the album. Why did you choose that one?
It's probably the most up thing we've done that people would know. It sounds like us, I think. But you know, over the years I've been really it just dawned on me that I only got to where I was by the good grace of others. And it kind of kept visiting me time and time again about how many people had a hand in my my career path or in my you know upbringing, and it sort of stayed with me. Now I know there's a song by Snow Patrol, I think, as well, but I'd written my song, or at least the first opening lines of it, briefly, and then again, like everything, I bring it to Alan, and it kind of just starts to gear up into something else. And he let me. I did like I did the vocal and the actual. I wrote the song in one take, just because I didn't want it to be in any sort of structure that you'd recognize on the radio, because we're kind of free from radio now, so we don't have to behave like that. We can be in the clubs and we can be online and we can say what we want. But the minute I'd taken it to Al, he was like, "This is the one. We've got to build this up and make it sound like us." You know. What was your experience, Al?
Well, yeah, I could tell when I heard it. It had the positivity, which is Ream. And just as you say, it just needed a little bit of structure, didn't it? It just made
Yeah.
be more dreamed up almost.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's exactly what we did, basically.
That's a very good expression, de-reamed up, but I love it. I've heard it and I really like it. It's a really good, solid tune, and as you say, it's very much you. You can hear that de-ream sound in it, which is obviously what you wanted. But presumably this album came about because you'd had the time. Do you think if we hadn't had any lockdown, that you'd have had the time to actually put this together?
I was so alluding to that earlier. The one thing about lockdown, the positive thing and take out lockdown was that we did have time to get the album. We were doing the album anyway.
That's right. We maybe a couple of years later, because we have so many distractions in our life. I realized during the first lockdown, when we really thought it was the end of the world, an extinction level event, I just sat there and I heard this from a lot of artists. Actually, I was listening to Katie Tunstall and Imogen Heap and all sorts of people. They did what they did because it was like maybe their last chance to do so. So I've written an obscene amount of songs. There's so much so that Alan's just said, "Well, call this an album, and we'll keep them for later on."
Yeah, but that's good though, and I must admit, the artists that I've been speaking to, guys, have said exactly the same. The one positive thing about COVID is actually giving them time to reflect, time to write. Their creativity has just been incredible. So for me, that's a positive, because as we know, the music industry has been really hit by the pandemic, and still we're crawling out of it. So fingers crossed, we can get some back to normality perhaps by the end of this year. But for you guys, it's what is the future for you for Ream? Have you got something lined up? Was anything cancelled?
Oh, lots of things have been cancelled. The thing, I can't look into the crystal ball now, because like everyone, I think anyone in hospitality will tell you there doesn't seem to be a future right now. If every virus or variant creates a responsive lockdown, then even Theresa May is saying it in the House of Parliament now. So we lost the second. Was it the 2nd of July, Alan?
That's the one we've just lost, yeah. We lost
this morning. Everything will be hanging in the balance, because I'm hearing, priming coming from social media about next spring, and it's like I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. Can't look into the crystal ball. I would love to be out playing these gigs. Desperate to get out live, because the other thing is with streaming. Streaming is basically like it's the two of my least favorite words combined. Well, I love music, but I hate the fact that they put music and the word free together. What free streaming for people means access to music, but it means terrible payment for artists. I mean, Alan had nearly 250,000 streams on his label there, and got a princely sum from Spotify of 13 quid. We can't live on air, right? We just can't. Now the double whammy of the Tories taking out live, and then Spotify basically stealing, because even half of its content is self-created and therefore cuts the whole deal down in half. It's basically theft. So until these things get rectified, musicians can't live on air. I mean, it becomes like we're okay because we've got other sources of income and stuff, because I think this sort of the music industry is too volatile, always has been. But it gives me the space to do this artistic thing that I do. And I was talking to someone the other night about it, because I remember that window between when we were 16 and 21, and that's the time when bands are formed, because I was out with my old bass player, and I was saying, when you get to 21, you see everyone around you, getting married, settling down, getting a job. It puts an enormous pressure on you. But I was never called to do this as a career. This was just something I was going to do forever. Now I'm going to do it whether I'm poor or whether I'm rich. And I did that deal with the devil. It was absolutely my vocation. And I'll still be doing it whether I'm paid for it or not. But it's nice to get a decent bit of wage cash in, because it helps us make these albums. It also helps to, keep the machine going, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
But in this instance, we're out of pocket doing this because we've done it ourselves, right? And it just looks like it may not even come back, because live music's not coming back and streaming needs fixing. So I don't know. We probably will do another album, but we're just really overjoyed with this one. We just want to get it out to people, see what they think. Hopefully they'll love it, they'll entertain them. And when we can get out live, then we will.
Yeah, well, the good thing is that, you know, just from the people that I was speaking to, other artists that I've interviewed, and we've only got to look at the ticket sales of the festivals that were going to go ahead and unfortunately had to be cancelled. I mean, they were selling out within minutes. People are desperate to get out, desperate to see music. I was very fortunate. I was at the Brits this year, you know, it was part of the government's, you know, experiment.
Oh, yeah.
You know, to look at crowds, and we all had to be tested before, after, you know, it was very, very rigorous, but it was amazing just to be amongst live music again, you know, and if that's what we need to do, then okay, that's what we need to do. But as you say, we've got to get out there, because music is the one thing. We talk a lot about mental health during the pandemic, and it's the one thing that is proven to help mental health, you know. And I mean, for you guys personally, have you seen, Al, I'll go to you first. Have you seen, you know, anybody around you? Has it been affected? Have they affected their mental health? You know, how has it been for you?
Well, it has. I mean, undoubtedly. I mean, I'm personally lucky. I think I'm quite strong that way, but it has. I've had a few ups and downs as well. You know, after a year or so of it and false dawns and stuff, and being stuck here, I did have a few moments which I dealt with. But I've had some friends who've had really, really struggled with it. You know, and it's, you know, I don't talk about it on it, but it's not been nice for some people.
No.
And, you know, understandably, when you can't do anything, and then again, false dawns all the time. This is the issue as well. I've got friends who have owned venues, you know, and they're like, now I haven't spoke to a couple of them yet because obviously it's only just come out. But I know some people that they've set up for the, you know, this first of June. And I haven't spoke yet, but I'm pretty sure what they're going to say to me, that this is going to absolutely kill them financially, because they're now going to lose another month when they've got, I know everything, as you said, it's ticket sales, everything they put on is sold out. And now we're told you've got to move it again. It's all very well saying, oh yeah, you move it, now that gig will happen. You know, but that's...
They bought I mean, beer costs, you know,
It's a cost.
it's got shelf life, hasn't it? It's got shelf life, a lot of these things, to set it up. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and for you, Pete, you know, how do you feel it's been during lockdown? Obviously, I think everybody's so frustrated, but you know, have you and your family and everybody been okay?
No, not really. My father's 85 and he's a widower. I partly came back to Ireland to look after my folks a few years back. And so, you know, I was here when my mum died, and I've been looking after my father with my sister. And, you know, he's really struggled with it, because he's had his 2 jabs, but he's so terrified now he wouldn't go out. And I just think that's wrong. Something's completely wrong there to do that. And so, yeah, various members of the family everyone's drinking way too much.
Yes.
We're all putting on weight. It's just like, you know, I don't know how much more of this we can take, because we're gonna have to get, I mean, the gyms have been closed in Ireland, that they're not, you know, we can't even go for a swim. We can go out for a really cold swim.
You see, that's the thing, it varies, doesn't it? Because over in the UK, you know, we can do that. Air gyms are open, you know, pools are open now, and it's very much different, isn't it, in different parts?
It's so different, because where I live, I'm on the border of Northern Ireland now, and I'm watching the British, you know, media and the rules that you have there. So we're so confused. The goalpost moving between 3 different regimes. I can't keep up with it. Well, we can't. So we keep our heads down and hope we're doing the right thing.
Well, you know, we've still got the music, and that is the most important thing. We still have the music.
Alan, it really it's given me my sanity. I don't go to church anymore, and I'm not going to worship. I'd say that music's like worshiping or anything, but you do have a spiritual dimension to it. It does bring like that solace, that comfort, that I don't know what I was talking to people about it. It just has that thing, and it gives you all of this goodness without a side effect. I think
it's very true.
It just brings a real joy, and you know, melody, music, lyric, the loudness of it, how everyone's jumping around to it with you. That's a basic human need, I think. You know, we've been doing that since we could raise our voices to the sky. So we really need to get back to doing that soon. Because
it's great. It's what you've said is absolutely right, and it's so wonderful that you both still enjoy working together.
Yeah,
Well, you can tell us the truth.
Bizarrely, we like each other's company now more than we have done. I don't know what's gone wrong.
You know, and do you have any contact with other members of the band? Obviously, the famous physicist, of course, Brian, who was in your band originally. Are you still in contact with any guys?
I am. Yes,
Good.
I spoke to him just last week. He was telling me about his new show coming up, but I interviewed him I was doing a BBC Radio podcast over here on BBC Radio Ulster, and I interviewed him on one of the shows I was asking about like music and time and rhythms and all that sort of stuff. So I'm still in touch with him. It's just that with Corona, he's not moving around as much as he was. But no, he's our golden boy. It's just that we can't afford him. Yeah. His price is way too high.
Would he still like to do it? Because I think he's well known now on their television, isn't he?
If the gig was big enough, right? So it's leaving Wembley. Right, if we're down at the old Dog and Duck, I don't think he's going to show up.
And for you both guys, Pete, where would you like to perform? You know, where would you really like to perform?
Oh, Red Rocks, Canada, even Madison Square Gardens. Yeah, that would be. We never really got to America when this whole thing started, and dance and house was in its infancy. Yeah. In America, they just didn't know what we were. They called us alternative. And, you know, Sash had gone like a month or so before us, Alan. Do you remember this when I went to the States? And they were really reverent and they really looked after us, but it was just a small thing. And then within a year or so, the whole, EDM thing had blown up, and we'd kind of gone in too soon and they didn't know what it was. Yeah. And it never really translated. So, I was really hoping we could do something more in the States eventually, but
that'd be great. Well, you never know. I mean, because America's moved on now from musically. So, and you're quite right. They didn't actually, I don't think they got the dance era that we had over here. But, you know, I just don't think their music scene was like our music scene. But I think now they would really appreciate you. How about for you, Al? Where would you like to go?
Oh, I'll play anywhere.
Yes. Right at this moment, you'll go to the Dog and Duck, as Pete says.
I'll go with headlining Wembley Stadium. There you go.
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
Go big.
Yeah, go big.
Go big or go home.
Go home, yes. Is there anybody you would like to collaborate with? Pete, I'll ask you first. Is there anybody that you think, I'd really like to work with that person?
Brian Eno, I think, would be. Other than that, I would mad about Trevor Horn. Yeah. I don't know why, but I'm trying to get like someone like Roger Sanchez or Little Louis Vega to do something with one of our records, but I think they're still outside our price bracket at the minute. Maybe we could make a moral case for them to get involved.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that might work. How about you, Al? Is there anybody that you would like to collaborate with?
Oh, I mean, I'm not trying to get rid of you, Pete, but people like Tracy Thorn, and I'd quite like to get some nice, great female singers in, like Annie Lennox, Kate Bush. Yeah. Get them and doing some duets with Peter, all with me.
Billy Ray Martin. Hey, Alan, that would be like D Ream versus D Vaz.
Yes. It's interesting you say Annie Lennox, so Al, because during lockdown she's been posting some great stuff on her socials. You know, she's obviously, in fact, most of the musicians have been really creative, and in fact we've seen more of an insight, I think, into their worlds during the lockdown. So the positive side is I think they connected with their fans. And would you say the same has happened for you guys?
I'm certainly speaking to lots of fans on Twitter and on Instagram. I think they love the joy of just getting hold of us. There's always a little tickle at the start where they'll make a few questions and there's tee-hee, but then they've all sort of settled. And I get little moments of their lives and people asking me to do bits and pieces. Every week there's something like, would you do a message for my friend? That kind of thing. And we don't charge for that. We just ask them to look at our favorite charity and see if they have any money, then that's fine. If they don't, it's not a thing. So no, it's really nice, because back in the day, you do your thing and the only audience response would be, you know, on the night with applause and stuff. But on the whole, the stuff that we get through is really, really good. You know, there's the odd negative comment which I have to address, but that's okay, especially around the, you know, Blair and the 97, you know, the war in Iraq and stuff like that. That's been hurtful. But yeah, you know, I can take that in my stride. You just have to tell people to separate out, you know, don't shoot the messenger, as it were. Yes, because we remember we all wanted that sea change, and what they did once they were elected, like pretty much every one of them, they go back in their word and they change things and they take us to war, and they can do that because they can do that, you know.
Yeah. So guys, you've got obviously this new album coming out.
Yeah.
The single is coming out very soon. So but I'm assuming that you would like to do, as we've been discussing, a tour to go along with this new album, which I really hope will be very soon, sooner rather than later. And whereabouts in the world would you like to perform? I know you've said America, Pete, but is there anywhere else that you'd like to go?
I'm sort of like, you know, I'd love to go worldwide. I mean, there's interesting things going on in Africa and in Eastern European, you know, places. I'd love to play Israel. I mean, you know, they get such a bad rap, but because people can't separate out state from people, and there's some cool people in Israel too. You know, there's also some cruel people. So that's because we had a #1 in Israel, and I thought that was a regret we never get over there.
Yeah.
So yeah, and definitely get back to Australia because they are just Australians, they just know how to party. They've got so much fun in them, and I've got on really well. It's a great sense of humor. So yeah, I'd love to get back out there again. I don't know about you, Al.
I love us. I mean, I've been Australia. I like Japan, but I know you're not a big fan of Japan, but I love Japan. So
yeah. Well, the thing about it's not Japanese, it's just the no parkland. There's nowhere to go or breathe or anything. It just feels really like Blade Runner. I love suffocating.
Well, guys, it's been so fantastic to talk to you both today. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it, and really best of luck with your single. It's amazing, I have to say. I've heard it, so give it a little plug, Al. Go for it. Plug that single and that album.
Well, Dream Many Hands is out on the 18th of June. It's an absolute belter. It's as good as Dream have ever been. And then the album, which is the best album we've ever done, is out on the 23rd of July.
Wonderful.
Well, he would say that, wouldn't he?
Thank you so much, guys. Real pleasure to have you on the show. Cheers. Thanks for now. Take care.
All right.
Right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me on Late Night with Monica Price. Come back and join me again next week. Bye for now.